Hello and welcome to the table. I'm your host, Team Wolf, and today we're going to be talking about Murders at Karlov Manor. And I haven't been talking about it a lot. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why that is. And before we get into that, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It's completely free, you won't regret it. And before that, let's get into the video. So this set is introducing 3 new mechanics and a new card type, and reintroducing 2 older mechanics. The older mechanics are Investigate, which basically you make a clue token, which you can pay 2 mana, sack it, draw a card. The beloved effect that's been around in the game for a very long time. People love it, people still love it, and glad to see it come back in this set, because this set cares a lot about artifacts and clues are artifacts, and it's just really good. Love this. But then there's Wither, which is only on 1 card, but I still want to talk about it. Basically, you deal damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 damage instead, so you basically get around indestructible. Besides that, not really worth talking about. But the new mechanics, we got Suspect, which, outside of flavor purposes, isn't really that good of a mechanic. Basically, there are certain cards in the set that care about Suspect, like if you control no creatures that have been suspected, you get this bonus effect. If you control a creature that gets suspected, or that's suspected, you unsuspect it. Destroy a creature that's been suspected, that kind of stuff. And creatures that are suspected, by the way, cannot block, but they have menace. So, it's a fairly good effect, but yeah, it's not wonderful. And then there's Disguise, which is a new way to do Morph. And Morph is a very beloved mechanic in Magic. People love face down, turn face up cards. I personally don't, I just think it's way too slow. So the way that this mechanic works is you pay 3 mana, take a card with Disguise from your hand, and put it face down. And that card that's face down is now a 2/2 with Ward 2. So if it becomes the target of a spell or ability, that card's or that spell or ability's controller cannot do that unless they pay an additional 2. So basically, it takes a little bit more mana in order to target the thing that has been disguised. And then to turn the card with Disguise face up, you have to pay even more mana for the Disguise cost. Turn it face up, which that Disguise cost usually costs more than its actual mana. To turn it face up, you get the creature, you get the effect, and you get a bonus effect because you went through the extra hoops of doing Disguise. It's just too slow. It's just too slow, in my opinion. It's fun in Limited, but outside of Limited, it's just too slow. Nobody's gonna play it. Like, Morph is not played. Mega Morph is not played. Those cards are just not played. They're not good. And this mechanic is the same. Same thing with Suspect. And same thing with Collect Evidence. Now, this mechanic is actually really good because Collect Evidence cards, basically, you play the card with Collect Evidence as an additional cost. You can ban or exile certain amount of cards from your graveyard to get a bonus effect. So let's say I play a card, one of the cards in the set, and one of the better cards in the set in my opinion, is called Analyze Pollen. It's a 1 green mana sorcery, and basically you pay green, search your library for a land, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. But if you collect Evidence 8, meaning you exile any amount of cards from your graveyard with a total mana value of 8 or more. And then, if you do pay that additional cost and the green mana, you get to search your library for any card. Instead, put it into your hand revealed and then shuffle. So basically, Collect Evidence is a way to get bonus effects out of a card, which is really good and really powerful. But a lot of the best cards with this mechanic, cards like Conspiracy Unraveler, which is a really good card. It's a 7 mana 6/6 with flying, but if you collect Evidence 10, the card is free, which is a really good effect. But, I mean, yeah, I guess certain Commander decks, certain Standard decks might play it, but in faster formats, in older formats, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, that kind of card is really good. A free 6/6 with flying. Sure, it doesn't have haste, which isn't great. It could see play in Modern in that case. It's pretty good, but Collect Evidence 10 takes quite a bit of setup to do that, and it's just a bit too slow. So like I said, some of the best cards with Collect Evidence are just too slow. They can see play in Commander, like with cards like Analyze Pollen, which I think will see a good amount of play in formats like Commander, but outside of that, then they're just not gonna really see much play. And then there's the new card type, cases, which don't mistake them with sagas because they definitely look a lot like sagas. So this card is, or this mechanic, this new card type, basically you pay an amount of mana, you play the card with case, or you play the case card, and you get an ETB effect. There's one card in the set, is a black case. Basically, you pay 2 mana, I think is the cost of the card, you play it, and then when it enters the battlefield, you make a 2/1, 2/2 skeleton, and then you suspect it. And then you get its ETB effect, which normally is a fairly good effect. And then you have a certain clause to, like, how to solve the case. Like, in the case of this case that I'm showing to you right now, if you control no creatures with suspect, then this case has been solved. So what happens when you solve the case? Well, you get a bonus effect, which I don't know what the bonus effect of that case is. But for, let's say, for example, it says, at the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and lose a life, which is pretty good. So effectively, what cases are, is you play them, you get an effect. And if you meet a certain clause, you get a bonus effect. And that effect normally happens repeatedly over the course of the game, so long as you have still completed that clause. Pretty good, but, I mean, 1, it's slow. 2, what formats are going to really play this outside of Commander because it's too slow? It's fun, and also, when is this mechanic ever going to see use again? Like, no set outside of a set like this is going to care about solving a case for a murder. I mean, dude. What? Yeah, it's very, see, with battles, they're pretty weak, exempt from a few, but they're going to see further support over the course of the next couple of years, and they're going to get better. Same thing with every single new card type that's come into Magic. They get support over time, and they get better and better. But with this, you can't really bring it back. So these cards are just going to be a couple of random cards that do nothing, which is great. And yeah, so yeah, it's just, it's not very powerful. And then, talking about the cards in the set, the good cards in the set, there aren't a ton because a lot of the cards in the set are too slow or too clunky to really be played in any format outside of maybe Commander. And the best cards in the set are mainly going to be played in Commander because they're really fun legendary creatures. Cards like Anzrag the Quake Mole, which basically, it's a red and green legendary creature that can get you bonus combat steps, which is super busted, but at the same time, it's a fairly expensive card, and also, it's got an attack, and yeah, it's too slow for most formats outside of Commander. Undergrowth Recon, it's a 3-mana enchantment, which at the beginning of your turn, you return a land from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Which, outside of Commander decks like Soul of Windgrace, really busted effect, but at the same time, it's like, what decks are really going to care about this other than Lands Matters decks? And the card's also very slow. Outside of formats like Commander. Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. New legendary creature, red-black Commander. It's a 6/6 with Flying and Trample for 6, and if you've, at the beginning of each of your opponent's turn, they have to sacrifice 2 permanents, including lands, or you draw 2 cards, which is really good. It's a pretty good effect. But at the same time, you're not going to really see this getting played outside of Commander. And then Analyze Pollen, already talked about that. Conspiracy Unraveler maybe gets played in other formats, but besides those cards, a lot of the cards in the set just aren't really that good. And, I don't know. It's just, there's a new Planeswalker in the set, Kaya, but ever since Wizards kind of started their new rule of 1 Planeswalker per set, the new Planeswalkers, Kaya is good. It can exile your opponent's stuff, it can get you bonus value out of creatures, but it's also kind of slow, and it's not really that good, but it can be good if you do the right setup. It's kind of like with Contorius and with Ashiok, the newest Ashiok, both really good. If you get to a certain, the effects can be good if you do right setup or you build the deck the right way. basically, they're not super good, but they're also not terrible. So they're like in between. The card is okay. And I don't know. The set is very mid. And a lot of the cards in the set are very mid and just aren't going to really see play in any format outside of Commander, which is very unfortunate. Because with the way that Wizards was heading with the last couple of sets, including Ravnica Remastered, Wizards was heading in a great direction with the last couple of sets. Ravnica Remastered, great set. Super fun to draft, really good reprints. Maybe a bit overpriced, but still really good products because Shocklands getting reprinted is always a good thing. Lost Caverns of Ixalan, great set. Wilds of Eldraine, pretty good set. And a lot of the sets in the summer, I can't remember all of them, but Lord of the Rings, great set. I absolutely love Lord of the Rings. I believe Commander Masters, Commander Masters came out in the summer. I like that set. And then March of the Machine, Phyrexia All-Be-One, good sets. Dominaria Mastered, good set. Last year was a fairly good year for Magic. And going into this year, Ravnica Remastered, great start to the year. And we immediately backtrack with this, which the set just isn't that good. I mean, the only way people are going to really get drawn into pre-release, for example, like unless you really love the mechanics in this set that are never going to see play again because blocks don't exist anymore. Man, I miss blocks. But people are not going to go to pre-release unless they really love the set, or people like me that just want to practice, play the set, bring their opinions out to the world, talk to you all about it. But unless you're one of those two people, there's no reason to do pre-release. Unless you want this sweet Tomic that it's a Planeswalker card. It's cool, it's really fun, but it's also not really that good outside of Commander. And the only way that you can get it, unless you want to spend a bunch of money on it, because you can only get it in a pre-release kit, and it's a Mythic. So unless you want to spend money, you can only get it in a pre-release kit. So spend the money on the pre-release kit, and you can get this card as your pre-release promo. So there you go. And the only way that this set is really going to see play, the only reason people are going to buy this product is because of play boosters. Like, once again, unless you really love the mechanics of this set and just the way that this set feels, it's probably going to be a fairly fun set to draft. But outside of that, there's no reason to buy single packs of it unless you want to try out the new play boosters. Oh my gosh, this new sweet booster, it takes the best of draft, the best of set, mushes it into one sweet, awesome combo. I love play boosters, and I love this new way that they're introducing, and I love it. I love everything about play boosters, but they're getting introduced in a set that sucks. But it's the first time we're ever seeing this, so people are going to be like, oh, I want to try it out. And they're going to buy a set that's not very good just to try play boosters. So, and don't even get me started on Clue Edition. Oh my god, 270 cards. Yeah, it's reprinting Shocklands, which is great. But all the cards in the set besides them suck. And the most expensive card in the set is $9. Like, oh my god. Just don't talk to me about Clue Edition, please. Because Clue Edition, I think, absolutely sucks. They shouldn't make it. They shouldn't be making it. And also, this set, see, I'm ripping on the set a bit. I don't like doing that. My New Year's resolution was to not do that this year as much, but I really need to with this set because some of you may be saying to yourselves, you're ripping on this way too much. Well, you know how with sets even before pre-release weekend, prices are pretty expensive for pre-ordering the cards. Like $50, $60, $70 for some of the more playable cards in the set. Well, the most playable card in the set, in my opinion, is Ansrag, and it's also the most expensive card currently, and it's going for $28, and it's not even pre-release weekend yet. Like, dude, what? Dude, so this set, like, nobody cares about most of the cards in the set. Like, the set's not even out yet, and a lot of the cards aren't worth garbage. Like, dude, when the set comes out, like, this is gonna be such a flop of a set. And I hate to see it, and I would hate to see that Wizards is already backtracking on all the progress they made last year. Sure, the year started off pretty bad with $1,000 Scam, and there were bad products, like Dominaria Remastered being not a wonderful product outside of certain reprints like Force of Will. And with March of the Machine Aftermath being an absolute fail, with Commander Masters being a fairly big flop, outside of those, they made a lot of progress last year and made a ton of really good products and a lot of really fun sets. And they started off this year with a banger of a set with Ravnica Remastered, and then they dumped this on us. And sure, it's introducing play boosters, which is great, but the set itself is very weak. The cards in the set are very clunky and very slow. And outside of Limited, I just don't think this set is going to see play. And it sucks. And I hate to say it, I hate to rip on it, but that's just the truth. Anyways, with all that aside, that is my take on Murders at Karlov Manor, and why I haven't been talking about it, because I don't really care about it. And a lot of people don't. But anyways, with all that aside, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It's completely free, you won't regret it. Hope that you enjoy this set. If you do really like it, if not, there's going to be plenty of set getting shoved down our throats throughout the rest of this year. So Wizards, please make some more bangers, and don't make any more flops this year, please. But yeah, with all that aside, see you next time, everybody.